Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and today I have a long chatty video for you. I filmed this video quite a while ago now. It was probably over a year ago now, and I had it up my sleeve for a time when I needed to have a long video like this, a long chatty video. And basically what I'm doing is sharing my process making a journal, a granny chic journal. This is for a friend. I made it for her birthday. And so as you watch me go about that process, choosing pages for the cover and the feature pages, I am going to be answering some interview type questions from Kirk from Psychology in Seattle. He asked these questions to one of his co-hosts, Bob, and I emailed him just asking if he, by any chance, had a copy of those questions and if he would be willing to send them to me so I could answer them on my own channel, because I love questions. If you followed my channel for a while, have joined one of my lives, you know I love questions. I find that asking people questions is one of the best ways to get to know them, and I especially love deep questions and getting to really know people's hearts and that kind of thing. So anyway, I've got this whole list of questions from Kirk, and I am excited to go through them one by one and share my answers with you. But first, let me share a bit about Psychology in Seattle. I always share about them on my channel because I just love shouting them from the rooftops. They have helped me so much, and I pretty much listen to them every day. And they are just so entertaining. They make me laugh. They're very smart as well. I learn so much from them. And yeah, they've just helped me a lot in my life ever since I discovered them back in 2018. And I believe in 2019, I became a patron of theirs, which I absolutely love. I love being able to support something I believe in, and I believe in what they do, helping people through psychology and therapy, and they share so many wonderful tools, and they answer people's emails as well. It's just so cool. And last year I became a member of theirs as well on their YouTube channel. So I'm going to share a link down below in the description box to their YouTube channel. And I also wanted to share as well, this is why it's going to be a long chatty video. It's just one thing I love about Psychology in Seattle, the podcast episode as well, is I love how Kirk and Berto will just go on tangents and share things about their lives and share stories and anecdotes and sprinkle those things in as well. I love that. So I thought I'd try doing the same thing in this video. So how did I discover Psychology in Seattle? I believe it was in 2018. I was studying creative writing at a Bible college, and I absolutely loved it. I've studied so many courses because I'm just a lifelong student, and if you paid me to study, I would. I did environmental science first of all, then I did a grad dip in mission studies, and then I did a master's of writing and literature, and then after that I did creative writing, a grad dip in creative writing. And I didn't complete that one though, but I ended up just doing 2 semesters or trimesters they have there. One of the classes that I did through them was called Sci-Fi and Fantasy, and I absolutely loved it. It was such a fun class, and in that class our lectures weren't just like, we had lectures, but that wasn't the only material we had to learn from. Our lecturer, he would also put up all these other resources for us each week, and he often included links to YouTube videos, to video essays, to teach us about how stories are constructed and all that kind of thing, about character and good writing through movies. So it was really fun. I love movies because it's just like a way to tell a story, basically. I love stories, and movies are a way to tell a story. And so through this sci-fi and fantasy class, I actually got into film analysis videos, and I follow a few film analysis channels like Lindsay Ellis, and there was Breaking Banter, who developed into Lovable Media, which is an Australian one, who their thing is empathy first. So when they review movies, they're doing it through this lens of empathy first, which is so cool. I love that take. Anyway, so then through this sci-fi and fantasy class and these different resources that they would put up, I started getting into film analysis. And from there, I don't know, maybe just the rabbit hole of YouTube, a recommendation popped up of The Psychology of Gone Girl by Psychology in Seattle. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. That's pairing two of my favorite things, psychology and movies. So I just, clicked it and I was blown away. I loved everything I listened to because it was just so many topics wrapped up into one. I got to learn about the movie. I got to learn about psychology. I got to also hear stories from the hosts' lives. Like Berto would share stories from how he connected to the movie and that kind of thing, and to the psychology. And it was just like three things combined into one. I was like, mind blown. I love this. I love this so much. And from there, I binged everything else that Psychology in Seattle ever put out. And I just continue to love the videos, and my favorite ones are the psychology of videos, either of movies or of like famous people or just people, because that really helps me. Then they share like the different theories that come up and personality disorders and things like that. And what I love most is that they not only share that stuff, but they share the personal stuff as well, which that's the thing that really, I know, I connect most with that, because when they can share their stories, I see myself in them, or I don't see myself in them, which in a way makes me see myself, because it's like, oh, that's not me. And when you don't see you, you can see yourself more clearly. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so I just think they do a brilliant job, love what they do, and I love, being a patron and member of them so I can support them doing what they do, which is making the world a better place and helping people. And they've had such a big impact in my own life journey, but also my online journey with my business, with my YouTube channel. I started a Patreon because of them. I started my YouTube membership because of them, when Kirk encouraged me to give it a go. And, I kind of model sort of what I do on my channel after them, in that, yes, I love journaling. I'm bringing journaling and creativity to my channel, to the world through my channel. But what I really want to do is kind of share more like the heart behind it, the reason behind it, the meaning behind it, of self-discovery, self-growth, and connection to self, connection to others, and, empathy first through journaling, that kind of thing. Awesome. So that is how I discovered Psychology in Seattle. Go check them out. I love it. I have shared about them before, and I've gotten emails from some of my subscribers just saying, oh, now they're a subscriber of Psychology in Seattle too, and some of them are patrons too, and we get to talk about Psychology in Seattle together, and it's just lovely. All right, now let me get into these questions. The first ones are favorites, which again is one of my favorite things. When I was a kid, people knew that I loved my favorites. I had a favorite everything growing up, and I also had like second and third favorites because I just had so many things that I loved. Okay, here we go. Favorite color is blue, specifically light blue. I really like teals and aquas. My favorite musical artist is, I'm going with genre. I'm adapting some of these questions. So I like acoustic music. So Boyce Avenue comes to mind. They do a lot of acoustic covers. I even like instrumental covers, like Brooklyn Duo and, the Bridgerton soundtrack, where they do sort of orchestra type covers of modern songs. Like, music just moves me. Sometimes I listen to instrumental music and I just cry because it just takes me to the heavens, Music is transcendent. My favorite album, goodness. So I am not sure about my favorite album. I've stopped kind of buying music. I used to buy a CD every week whenever I went to JB Hi-Fi, but now with Spotify and YouTube, I kind of haven't bought an album for a very, 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 very long time. I just make my own playlists. So I'm going to go with a favorite playlist at the moment. is my instrumental playlist. I've got like the Lord of the Rings instrumental by the Piano Guys. I love it. So good. I've got some Brooklyn duo Bridgerton songs there, and some Winter Solstice songs too. Yeah, love my instrumental at the moment. Oh, and I'm loving covers at the moment. I really love stripped down acoustic covers just by anyone. My favourite song, well, this is an oldie. My favourite song, all-time favourite song, is If I Am by 9 Days. It became my favourite song when I was in year 9, and it was kind of the first time I found a song that felt like it was words I could have written. That kind of song where it feels like either I could have written it myself or someone has written the exact song for me, like they wrote it for me. It was a song written by me and for me, it feels like. When you find a book like that, and it just is, it's the best. So If I Am, I really, really connect with that song, and still do to this day. It's my song. So the next question is, what do you order at Starbucks? So I'm not really a hot drink drinker, and I don't really go to hot drink places or even cafes really over here in Bowen. I will say though, in winter I do not mind a hot chocolate. I find that very comforting. But other than that, I'm just a water person. I don't really drink hot drinks. My favourite movie is, of course, The Lord of the Rings. All 3 of them, of course, the extended editions. I love them all. If I had to choose a favourite, oh my gosh, I could make a case for all 3. I love all 3 of them for different reasons. The first one because it's just so nostalgic, and I love like the characters going on that journey together. I love the epicness of Helm's Deep in the second one. But if I had to choose, it's the third one. The epic battles in that one are so good. My 2 favourite movie moments are from that movie. The scene where Theoden clangs his spear or sword against the other spears, and it just makes a noise as he's doing his speech. Oh, so good. And then my other favourite moment is when Aragorn says his speech at the final battle. It's just so heartwarming, heart-rousing. I don't know, probably not heartwarming, but anyway. My favourite movie director, I haven't really been paying attention to directors, but ever since listening to Psychology in Saddle, I've paid more attention to directors. So I'm going to say Christopher Nolan, just because I quite enjoy movies with a mystery and a twist. Like, really enjoy those types of movies. I love sort of psychological thrillers where you have to work at figuring it out and you have to like be fully in it. I love movies where you're on the edge of your seat, not in a scary way, but just in a you have to concentrate way. I love that. The worst thing a movie can be for me is boring. The worst thing a book can be for me is boring. As long as it can make me feel something or it can make me engage, like, it's done its job, even if I didn't enjoy it. My favourite TV show, again, I don't really watch TV anymore because I don't have one. But now these days you can just watch TV on, your laptop if you have internet. But my favourite TV show has always been, like, from a young age, sport. I love footy. I love tennis. I love the Tour de France. I'm currently watching the Tour de France. July is one of my favourite months of the year because I get to watch Wimbledon and I get to watch the Tour de France, which are both very late in Australia. So it's the month I get tireder and tireder by the end of the month because I just keep staying up late watching Wimbledon and the Tour de France. I also really like Taskmaster. That's a show that I watch at the moment. I just watch one episode a day and it gives me lots of laughter. I love Taskmaster. My favourite actor, I do like Sandra Bullock and I do like Chris Evans. So I am a Captain America fan. That would be my favourite Marvel superhero because I'm pretty basic in that. Superman is my favourite DC one. Captain America, just like, the good dude, and Sandra Bullock, she's in one of my favorite movies. What's it called? The Proposal. I love her in The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds. They are just hilarious. The next one is a favorite art piece. So I'm going to go with my favorite painting, and it's called Anguish by Augustus Schenk. So the story behind this one is, when I was younger, my mum would take me to the art gallery, and one day we were standing in front of this really large painting, one of those ones with a gold ornate frame, and she asked me, do you know what the word anguish means? And I said no, and she explained it to me, and as I'm staring at this painting, I was blown away, because if you want to know what the word anguish means, just go look up this painting. It blew my mind how an artist could have so perfectly captured a word, and I was just in awe. It was amazing. So this painting, I would just sit in front of it and get lost sort of in the story of it, and the dilemma of it, the pain of it, sort of like a caught in between a rock and a hard place type of painting, where either choice you make will be heartbreaking. And I just was like, I just entered so much into that story, and it was just powerful. And every time we went back to the art gallery, I had memorized where that painting was. So Mum would just walk around the art gallery. I would go make a beeline straight to that painting, and I would just sit in front of it and stare at it for hours. And one day when we went past the gift shop, or through the gift shop, my mum bought me a copy of Anguish on a postcard, because she knew how much I loved that painting. So it sits on my wall. And I know it's quite, it's a sad, painful painting that people might be like, why is that your favourite? That's a bit depressing. But it's because of the power of it, and how, just, when a book or a song can perfectly capture an emotion, and it can make you feel it as the viewer or the reader or the listener. I don't know, to me, that's amazing. I love that. My favourite book is Blue Like Jazz by Donald Miller. This book, sort of similar to like Anguish and my favourite song, If I Am. It was the first book I ever read that felt like it could have been written by me, and that was written for me. The tagline or subtitle is Non-Religious Thoughts on Spirituality. Did I say that word right? I'm not going to attempt that again. So basically, there were some struggles that I had with faith. I had some struggles with different ideas, and I thought I was the only one who had those struggles. And then reading this guy who had written Blue Like Jazz, reading about his thoughts about faith and God and all that kind of stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, there's someone else who thinks this way, and it's okay to have these thoughts, and yeah, it's all okay. We're all good. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm all about, it's totally okay to have doubts. It's totally okay to struggle in life, it's okay to struggle with faith. It's okay to have questions. It's totally okay to have questions, and to not know, and to, I'm all about that. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed Blue Like Jazz. And I read it a couple years ago, and I wasn't sure, like, oh gosh, am I still going to like this book so many years later? And as I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, this book is still brilliant. This book is still really, really full of gold. So it was, such a good book for me, sort of formative in my own life, not just in my humanness and faith, but in terms of myself as a writer. It's one of the books, the first books that inspired me to want to write like this. So the books that I like writing are books like Blue Like Jazz, memoirs, where I just write about my own questions and struggles, and I write about the real and the raw stuff and the vulnerable stuff, just knowing that people have questions, people go through things and struggle, and it's okay. We can talk about them and let people know they're not alone. The next question is favorite psychological theorist. Well, I'm not too familiar with that enough to have a favorite, but I'm going to go with like my favorite psychological theory, and it's definitely attachment theory. I am all about attachment theory now. Anyone who talks to me and we go anywhere deep, attachment theory will come up. I will bring it up. So you've probably heard me talk about it on my channel. So I definitely recommend the Psychology in Seattle Attachment Theory Deep Dive, which you need to be a patron for. So go be a patron, because that deep dive is so good. That's the one that sort of helped me the most. I think I have avoidant attachment, and learning about that just really helped me, and learning about things like going on a campaign to have a support network and that kind of thing, that really helped me do that or continue to do that. And basically, yeah, just having empathy for myself and having empathy for others, because you now have greater understanding about different attachment styles. It's just super helpful. I'm going to give an honorable mention to schema therapy, systems theory, and internal family systems. If you want to know more about that, go check out Psychology in Seattle. They have deep dives on those too. And I love all of those theories. And when they work together, like you can combine all these theories together, I think that's really, really cool. This is a very specific question. Favorite place in Pennsylvania? Let me answer my favorite place in Australia. I'm going to go with Airlie Beach. Airlie Beach is about an hour from where I live, and I just love the vibe of the place. It just feels like, I don't know, when I was in Melbourne, I lived an hour from the city, and anytime we would go to the city, it just always felt exciting, because I hardly ever went to the city, maybe twice a year, and it just was like the nightlife and the lights, and it's like I would never want to live there, no way, but I just love the excitement of visiting there. That's what Airlie Beach is to me. Bowen is this tiny country, small town, quiet, no traffic lights. You go to Airlie Beach and it's the place where it feels like the city. When I was in Melbourne, it's got a nightlife. Bowen has no nightlife. Not that I'm into nightlife, but I just love that kind of vibe for a day out or whatever. I have a dream one day to like have a writing retreat there for a week or a weekend and spend my day at the lagoon. I love the lagoon. So the lagoon is this beautiful shaped lagoon with a bridge going over it, and you sit on the grass, and in front of you you have the view of the lagoon, and if you turn around you have the view of the ocean. So it's beautiful. I just want to spend my days reading on that grass, going for a swim, coming back out, writing, going to cafes. And across the road from the lagoon is this wonderful open place, like open pub type thing with live music and sport playing on the big screen. It's just like so fun. Love the vibe. Love it. This is another very specific question. Favorite Seattle restaurant? Look, I'm just going to go with favorite restaurant. And at the moment, I might say Korean barbecue. It's a place where you get to cook sort of your own food on a barbecue that's inbuilt into your table. So it's quite fancy. I've never been to a place like that before. And I've been twice now since my first time. And it was really interesting. It's so great because you just order like all your meats, cook it yourself, but it comes with all of the things like lettuce and bean shoots and seaweed and other things. One of those things is kimchi. So story time. I always said that I'd never had kimchi before, and so I went to try it this time, and it was amazing. All these memories came back. So for those who don't know, I was born in South Korea, but I was adopted when I was 4 months old when I came over to Australia, and I all my family is Aussie, and so I am just, full Aussie. I'm a full Australian culture. I don't know a single Korean word. But when I was a kid, we would meet up with some other adopted kids my age, and we would get together and we would dress up in Korean clothing and eat Korean food. And when I ate the kimchi, I was taken back to those times where we would get together. And so I must have eaten kimchi as a kid. I'm not sure if I particularly like the flavour, but I loved the feeling that gave me. Like a whole memory just flooded my mouth with just a flavour, a single flavour. It was incredible. It was like an incredible moment, really. Favorite Seattle month. I'm going to just go for favorite month. Like I said, July is one of my favorite months because it's sport month. Woo! But I also love December and January because that's the summer holidays here in Australia. So Christmas, New Year's, it's the time usually when I spend with my family and everyone's on holidays. My favorite fast food joint. It changes all the time. It used to be sushi, then fish and chips, and then it was Mexican. I don't know. I really like sushi from the sushi train. Yeah, so good. I'm a bit picky with my sushi. The rice has to be just so, the texture, it has to be just so. So if you go to one of those sushi train places, they're usually good quality sushi. Favorite type of sandwich. Oh, a good salad sandwich is my favorite. When I was a kid, I used to love salad sandwiches. My grandma would make them for me. She would pick me up from kinder, make me a salad sandwich with mayo, and then she would take me to gymnastics. And she made me the best sandwiches. So lettuce, tomato, beetroot, onion, gherkin, chicken, mayo. Has to have the mayo. You cannot skip the mayo. I need a lot of mayo. Tang is my favorite flavour. Okay, type of pizza. My favorite type of pizza. I'm not a huge pizza fan. And I think it might be because I'm not a cheese fan. I can only take cheese in small doses. So hold the cheese for me on a pizza. But I'm vegetarian. I love all the sun-dried tomatoes, capsicum, onion, mushroom, spinach, or add a bit of chicken on there. I make a homemade pizza on pita bread with like herbs and tomato paste. Add the chicken. Yes, good. Yum. Favorite card game. Okay, I do love Spoons. Spoons is a great one. Warlords and Scumbags I also like. Yeah, really fun. Favorite podcast episode from Psychology in Seattle? Well, it would have to be like the attachment theory deep dive, of course. But to choose one episode, there was, I think they called it Review of Kirk and Berto's Fight. So they sometimes argue, fight in their episodes. And one of the latest fights, they did like a follow-up and reviewed it and worked a lot of things out. And Berto had a light bulb moment, and it was really wonderful. Like, so many things I got out of it. Like one of the lines Kirk said to Berto was something like, "You're allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to feel that kind of thing. You don't have to just keep arguing. You can just say, that really hurt me what you said," instead of arguing. It's like, wow, that's really cool. You're allowed to be hurt. And, just them sharing about things from their background and family upbringing that now affects how they relate in an argument or whatever, and learning, I don't have to do that anymore. Here's a different way I can do things. Like the awareness that they showed, the grace that they showed, the growth that they showed. It's just everything I love. Everything I love. I'm always about like metacognition and self-awareness and growing and being aware of why you do things and say things and what you mean, and not just doing things on autopilot, but so you can be really intentional about how you are behaving and affecting yourself and affecting other people. And the world would be a kinder place if we could maybe do that. Where were you born? I kind of already mentioned this. I think it was Busan in South Korea. Where did I grow up? So I grew up in Belgrave Heights, the Dandenongs, eastern suburbs of Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, southern hemisphere of the world, Earth, in the Milky Way. I grew up in what they would call the sticks, or the hills. So like lots of windy roads, hills and valleys. It was the best of both worlds because it was kind of near the suburbs. The city was an hour one direction, the beach was an hour another direction, and we were sort of in the mix of forest and farms. So it was beautiful living in forest and farms. Loved it. So driving past sheep and cows and horses was just a regular thing every day, but also driving past kangaroos, the odd wombat and echidna, because we lived in the bush, in the forest as well. Like, it was great. We got the best of both worlds. Tell us about your family. So you might have noticed on my channel, I don't tend to share much about my family or too many like personal details about other people, just to protect and preserve, their privacy and identities and all that kind of thing. So, but what I will say is that I do have, an older sister and an older brother. I am the youngest, and I'll say that I reckon our family culture, we've talked a bit about this in our family, we have a family culture that is generally hardworking. We all need a project. We always need to be working with our hands on something. We get, bored easily. We need to do something. I believe we are all capable. We are all tend to be, decent, well-mannered, sociable, friendly people, and we don't tend to hold grudges. We're pretty laid back, like maybe even too laid back in a way. So I definitely don't have, and none of us in our family have the incompetent schemer, and I definitely don't have the world is a scary place schemer. We would be the ones who leave our doors unlocked, leave our car doors unlocked, and tend to be pretty trusting of people. We grew up in a good neighborhood. So yeah, I'll say that. The next question is, what is your ethnicity? So yeah, I was born in South Korea, but I pretty much just call myself Aussie because I know nothing about South Korea. My mum's side of ancestry was just British, I think. My dad's side, his dad was Canadian, so my grandpa was Canadian, and my great grandpa was Norwegian, so they headed over from Norway to Canada. And funny story, their last name in Norway was Johansen, but when they moved to Canada, there were so many other Johansens there who moved there as well. So they changed their surname to the name of the farm that they used to farm back in Norway, and they had Holstein cattle. So they dropped the Stein, kept the Hol, and that's why that's my last name. If you're wondering why it's not Desiree, Desiree is actually my middle name. My middle name is Desiree because my family wanted me to know I was wanted. So when they adopted me, Desiree means wanted in French, or desired in French. So I love that they gave me the middle name Desired, or Desiree, so that I would always know I was wanted. So what high school... Yeah, I go back to the other point. I could have been a Johansson. But funny, I am named after a farm. What high school... No, wait. Earliest memory. This is one of my favorites. I don't know like my earliest, but this is one of my earliest memories. Is one day or one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and for whatever reason I felt like what I really wanted to do at that particular time was go to the fridge and draw. So on our fridge we would have magnets and pieces of paper stuck to the fridge so that I could draw on those pieces of paper with Crayola textures. And yeah, for whatever reason, that's what I wanted to do. And either, my mum just woke up, or she saw the light on or something, and she came down the stairs and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Drawing." She's like, "Okay, but now time to go back to bed." I was like, "Okay." And I just love that as one of my earliest memories, because it just shows, I guess, I was creative right from the very beginning. I couldn't think of anything that I wanted to do more at that moment in the middle of the night than to draw. I was always drawing as a kid, colouring in, always creative. What high school did you go to? I went to Upwey High School. When did I graduate? I graduated in 2003. Tell us about your high school friends. Well, I was one of the nerds. I was a geek, a brain, a teacher's pet, goody two-shoes, that type of person. So school wasn't always the most fun for me in primary school and high school, getting teased and all of that kind of thing. But I did kind of like learning, basically. I didn't mind having assignments and essays. I really enjoyed writing essays. So yeah, it wasn't all bad, but it wasn't my most fun time. Did I go to high school dances? No. I am not a fan of parties and dances, really. Yes, I'm a bit of a shy introvert, a bit of a wallflower. Did you get along with your high school teachers? In general, yes, because like I said, I was a bit of a teacher's pet. And some of them, yeah, I absolutely loved. But yeah, I was pretty much, I wanted to be a good student. I never had a rebellious phase. I'm a rule follower. I love rules. Rules feel safe to me. So I'm like one of the most boring people you ever meet, type thing. And people would call me boring in school. But to me, I was like, to me, it's interesting. Did you like high school? Like I said, I felt very stressed a lot of the time because I felt like I didn't fit in. But I did like learning. I liked school in itself. But yeah, I was just stressed pretty much about the social side of things. What was my first job? I was a dog groomer in a pet shop. So when I was young, my dream was to work with animals, and yeah, the closest thing I got, I was supposed to be working like just in the pet shop, but they had me, the dog groomer went on maternity leave, so they're like, oh, could you maybe learn how to dog groom? I was like, okay. So they trained me up, and I dog groomed for I think 3 years or so, and did a dog grooming course. But I also got to help out in the shop too. So some days I would do retail. So that was fun, feeding the puppies and serving customers. And I learned a lot about pets. I learned a lot about food and all that kind of stuff. So it was quite helpful. My first car was a Holden Astra. It was champagne, and it was a 2-door hatch. It was very old. It was a very, very old car. Every time I drove it, I felt like it could fall apart at any minute because there were just, rattles everywhere coming from every direction. First concert, haven't been. Maybe one day. I think it's not really high on my list. It's not something I'm particularly interested in. I'd rather maybe go to a musical or to the ballet. Oh, I love to go to the ballet or the circus. I went to Cirque du Soleil one year and it just blew my mind. I loved it. But yeah, I more like dance, musical theatre, that type of thing. First traffic ticket. Well, I haven't had any like speeding tickets or anything. I've gotten a couple parking tickets. Have you ever been in trouble with the law? Again, maybe just the parking tickets is the only thing that I can think of as something that qualifies. Remember, I was a rule follower. I still am. I love rules. Rules are the best. What college did I go to? When did you graduate? So I went to Monash University, first of all. I did a Bachelor of Environmental Science, and I majored in zoology and did honours in animal behaviour. Like I said, I grew up wanting to work with animals. When I graduated, though, I realised that's not the lifestyle I want. I'm a very indoors, sedentary person. So I realised my heart was actually it took a bit longer to work this out, as you'll see with the next course, but I like to read, and I like to write, and I like to create. That's what I really love doing. Like, I still love animals. I'll always be an animal lover. But before I worked that out, that I liked to write and create, and that's what I wanted to do, I did a grad dip of arts, and I majored in mission studies at Tabor Bible College. And I really, really did enjoy that. I love learning about theology and biblical studies. I love learning about cultural anthropology. That was my favourite class. In all of my courses, I had a favourite unit. So in environmental science, my favourite unit was animal diversity, where we just learned about all the different the taxonomy. In the grad dip of mission studies, my favourite subject or unit was cultural anthropology. That was actually quite life-changing. It was the moment that I learned how ethnocentric I was, and it kind of changed everything. I went through a moment where I was like, what do I even believe? Like, I can't believe anything I believe anymore. And I kind of stripped everything back. I went on a journey, stripped everything back to the bare bones. And for a while there, it felt like I was floating in the air because I had nothing solid to hold on to. And yeah, it was great. I loved it. I loved going through that. It was so fun. Like learning about that awareness, just learning, like, why do I believe this, and why do I think this, and why do I even use a knife and a fork? Like, why do I sit on a table in a chair? Like, there are other ways to do things. There are other ways to think about things. There are other ways to live and think and believe. And it was just, yeah, it's so fascinating. I loved it. And then I did a Master of Writing and Literature at Deakin University. And it was so amazing, this story. Let me tell you another story. Story time. So I was doing this sort of icebreaker game where you do speed dating, basically, just to get to know the people in your team. And so I was talking to one guy and just saying, hi, what do you do? And he said, I study creative writing at Deakin. And I was like, I couldn't remember anything else he said, because it felt like a movie moment where time stood still and the camera was zooming in on my face. And the thought that went through my head was, there is nothing I would rather do more than study creative writing. So actually, it took me a bit longer to finally get there, but I eventually did transition. And the year that I moved from Melbourne to Bowen is the year that I studied a Master of Writing and Literature at Deakin. And I loved it. It was the first time that it felt like I love learning. I love learning about everything. My uni years at Monash studying zoology were some of the best years of my life. I loved everything that I learned. I loved studying mission studies. But when I studied the Master of Writing and Literature, that's when it felt like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is it. This is it. This is the thing. And then my favourite subject from that one was called creative nonfiction, and it opened my eyes, because going into that course, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do poetry, I wanted to do script writing, I wanted to do children's writing, young adult, fiction, nonfiction. I wanted to do everything. But when I discovered creative nonfiction, that's when I was like, oh no, this is my thing. This is what I want to do. I am a life writer. I write memoirs. All of my books that I've written so far have been memoirs, and that is my thing. That is what I love doing. I love writing about my stories, personal experiences, what I learn, and that kind of thing. So that was sort of life-changing in itself. And then after that, I did a couple of trimesters at Tabor doing creative writing at Bible College. And that's when everything really came together, because it combined faith with writing, which I never really saw how they fit together before doing this course. I always sort of felt guilty. I don't know, I felt like I needed to be like a doctor or a teacher or something and do something practical, because I grew up thinking the creative jobs weren't real jobs. So I thought, I'll do science, because science is really practical, and creative writing, they're not real jobs. So I always had that in the back of my mind, like, what am I doing? Is this actually the thing I should be doing with my life? So when I did this Bible College course with creative writing, it really showed me, no, actually this does have value. Like, I could share more about all the things I learned. One of the things was how we reflect God through our imagination just as much as we reflect him through our reason. But somehow in our culture today, we focus more on reason than imagination. But imagination is something that is effective at telling truth just as much as like reason. And I see that so much in stories. There's fiction stories, there's non-fiction stories, and sometimes a fictional story can get to the heart of a matter so much more powerfully than a non-fiction story. And it's the way of how fiction and the imagination, the use of the imagination, can actually point to truth, can actually point to meaning, can actually point to, in some ways, better than just reason. And not that they're competing or anything, both together are needed and are wonderful. So that really helped me to see the value of writing as a good thing to do in the world. So this one is talk about, I guess, college friends and activities. So when I was at Monash, I had some of the best friends. We just had so much fun. We called ourselves the dudes, which is crazy. We just always said dude all the time. So we were like, well, let's call ourselves the dudes. And it was like the blue dude, the green dude, the pink dude, and the purple dude, because we all had a different favourite colour. We were even going to get t-shirts, and we had a logo for each of ourselves and a little catchphrase that we each had. And we would do movie nights, we would do movie marathons. We did a Lord of the Rings marathon, we did a Star Wars marathon, we would do study marathons, and yeah, we just had a blast. It was so much fun. The next question is, why did you become a counsellor? So I'll tailor this to me, like, why did I become a creative / writer? And it was pretty much that story. Like, I've always been a creative person, but I just dismissed it like, oh, that's not a real job, that's just a hobby. But when we did that speed dating icebreaker, and I had that moment of there's nothing I want to do more than study writing, that was when I finally was like, okay, that's what I want to do with my life. And then going to uni and studying about it just confirmed it, made me fall more in love with writing. And in terms of creativity, well, that's just something I've never stopped doing. I've done that my entire life. And so when I started my YouTube channel, that was just me putting the camera on to share what I was sort of already doing. And I had no idea that it would turn into a business, into my full-time job. It's absolutely crazy. And then I'm able to share my love of creativity, my joy in creating, in journaling, in writing as well. It is, I'm very, 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 very thankful. The next question is, first counselling job. So I guess I'll say my first creative writing job is YouTube. YouTube was my first job, I guess, in the creative field. Not that I thought it would be a job, but I can kind of now say, it feels so weird saying this, but I am a YouTuber. Like, that's part of my job, is actually being a YouTuber. And that was the first thing. After that, I did add Etsy and then Patreon, and then I now teach journaling courses. I started the YouTube membership. And the latest thing that I'm doing is now teaching workshops, creative journaling workshops. So yeah, who knew that just starting a little YouTube channel back in, when was it? 2018, I believe it was, that I started it, February 2018. I had no idea that would lead into being able to teach courses and run workshops. Like, that's just crazy. And I love that I can combine my love of creativity with writing, with journaling, and pass it on to other people. It's just a blast. I love it. Favorite moment in therapy? Well, let me chat about, I guess, the time I was seeing a psychologist. It wasn't for very long, because in Bowen, it's very transient. People come and go. So I saw like 3 psychologists in the space of not very long, because they kept leaving, which was it was a bit rough, to be honest. The first one I saw, she was lovely, so it was quite sad when she left. And then from there, the next 2 didn't quite click with, but by then I had sort of moved past my depression and anxiety that I was suffering from. So back in 2015 and 16, that's when I struggled with depression and anxiety, and I ended up going to see a psychologist. And the first lady, yeah, she was brilliant. I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous, all that kind of thing, but she just listened to me. She listened to all my crazy thoughts, and she listened to all my worries and things I was stressed about, and I just cried, and she just listened and was there. And like, she just told me, not so much through words, but just through being there, that I wasn't crazy. And it was very nice. It was very nice. I guess up until that point, it's because I bottled everything in. I'd never told anyone anything, never had anyone listen to me and just be there. So that was just really nice to have that and learn what that felt like. Worst moment in therapy, again, I haven't had that much experience. Like, I only saw a psychologist for a few months. The thing that really helped me, actually, besides that helped, yes, for sure, but was reading books. Books changed my life, seriously. I love books. Books helped me understand what anxiety was and helped give me tools to work through it. Things like diffusion, defuse from your thoughts, expansion, know that you're bigger than your thoughts. Just other tools like that really helped me. Living a values-based life, that was key. That, and I still do that. I still live a values-based life to this day. And those three things alone pretty much, in a way, cured me. So yeah, just learning about it is something that helps me, and knowing I'm not alone, knowing this is pretty mundane. Like, people everywhere have gone through depression and anxiety, and it's not unique. And my worst moment, though, was, I guess, when I came in one day and the psychologist had forgotten that she assigned me some homework. And me being a good student, you know, I had done my homework and I was ready to talk about it. And yes, of course, I could have, if I was a more assertive person, I could have said, oh, hey, I did that homework. But yeah, I just kind of left it. And in a way, for me, it was a bit of a sad moment because, like, I know probably giving the benefit of the doubt, of course, that wasn't her intention, but it would obviously make me feel forgotten, not valued, that type of thing, if you can't even remember that you set homework for me, that type of thing. Anyway, but, you know, wasn't a huge deal. What instrument do you play? So the main instrument I play is the piano, but I'm by no means a maestro. I did have lessons as a kid, but nothing like classical or no music theory or anything. So I kind of just bumble along doing my own thing. I did have some flute lessons. I did try to teach myself guitar and ukulele. I learnt recorder because everyone did when they were in grade 3 in primary school. But piano is my main one. I do have a digital piano in my room and I have that there to play anytime I want. Anytime I play it, it's so soothing and relaxing and beautiful. Piano is my favorite instrument, my favorite sound. First home purchase. Wow. I don't know if I would ever be able to purchase a home, but my dream would be to have like a tiny house / medium house studio. So like a 2-bedroom or 2-room little creative studio where one is my bedroom and one is my studio, where I could have like a wall that is a library with all my books and a reading nook and a desk for all my creative work and my journaling, and like a filming setup with like the lights and the tripod or whatever you need, the arm for the camera. That would be amazing. And to decorate it with all my pretty things and meaningful things, with my gallery wall, a little place for my black cat Keanu. That would be the absolute dream. My favorite birthday party, I'm going to say one for another person. My sister had the best party. Her birthday is Boxing Day. So for her, it's not very fun because she doesn't like that so close to Christmas. But she had her 21st on New Year's Eve of the millennium, so 1999. And it was epic. It was so good. And it was a masquerade. So everyone dressed up, fancy dress with masks. And there was delicious food. There was music going. There were costumes. Incompetence and The World is a Scary Place, those ones. So yeah, it's really interesting because I always have to combat, this is like my biggest struggle, the defective schema, and it's really encouraging or comforting to me whenever Bob talks about it, because, you know, he's the therapist and he helps people, but he also struggles with that defective schema. It's nice to know that it doesn't have to go away for you to still, you know, be able to do work, good work in the world, and that it might never go away, that it's something that you might need to constantly be working on, and that's okay. It is totally okay to keep working on it, and for it to never go away. It's totally okay. And I know it's kind of in contradiction or in conflict for me with my faith as well, because my faith has the belief that I am made in the image of God, and therefore I am lovable and I have worth just for purely existing. So I have that head knowledge, and I stand on that. That is my absolute rock. It is my foundation. It has gotten me through so many things. That knowledge, that head knowledge, that I am 100% loved, 100% lovable, and have great worth and that kind of thing. But yeah, for whatever reason, is it heart knowledge or just whatever, I can't shake that sort of my own voice in my head telling me, nah, you're the worst of the worst, even though my faith says, no, you are so wonderful. You are wonderful. And I believe that of every other person too. Like, it's hard for you to believe the same things about other people, about yourself, that type of thing. Like, the things I say to myself in my head, I would never ever say to anyone else. And I know God never says anything horrible to me. He never ever says the things I would say to myself. And I would never say these things to anyone else. And I believe every person is lovable. I believe everyone has the beauty and the glory of the image of God in them. And I believe everyone has worth, no matter what they do, no matter what they've done, no matter who they are. It's like, I have the head knowledge for that for myself as well. And I absolutely believe that with a head knowledge, and know that that's what God speaks over me too. But there's just this other part, this other, I don't know, voice in my head that has those other thoughts. So it's sort of like a constant battle where I am combating that voice. And when I did go through depression and anxiety back in 2015 and 16, that's when I learned my tools, because that voice was at its worst in those 2 years. That voice was absolutely constant, like 24/7. It was just, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate myself, I hate my life, I hate my life, I hate my life, over and over again. It would just tell me, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're stupid, you're an idiot, over and over again. And that's why, for 2015 and 16, I was in a very, 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 very bad place. But all along, I knew, but I know God loves me. I absolutely know He loves me. I know His love is fierce. I know it is stronger than the self-hatred. And that is the thing that I clung to, and that's the thing that helped pull me out. That was the thing that kept me afloat in the water. I'm, so thankful to God. And of course, that was the thing that kept me there afloat. But then I still did need, the tools. I needed to go see a psychologist. I still needed to read those books. And that's when it gave me these really, really practical tools of like diffusion, expansion, ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, a values-based approach. Those were the things that helped me to have tools where I would then replace my thoughts, that voice in my head, with truth. When what I do know is like, no, I'm going to be my own cheerleader. I am going to be my own cheerleader, and I am only going to, I can't stop those negative self-talk thoughts coming. I can't stop them, but I can choose how I respond to them, and I can replace them with, nope, that's not true. I know I'm lovable, that kind of thing. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes I go into a bit of a spiral every now and then, but I'm much better at being aware and identifying it sooner and catching myself, that kind of thing. So yeah, I share all of that, and I've shared a bit about my mental health journey on my channel. Share all of that just to let people know maybe you connect with that. Maybe you're one of those people who has that negative self-talk, and you have, you do have that head knowledge on one hand, but you also have this other voice that tells you these other things, and it just feels like this constant battle. If that's if that's you, I hear you, I see you, and you're not alone, you're not crazy, and it's totally okay. You are fine just the way you are. And that's kind of one thing I had to keep like learning about myself, because I would beat myself up for having that voice and like, oh, you're so stupid for having that voice, but then there's that voice again. It just wasn't effective at all. So definitely things like just having grace for yourself, having empathy for yourself, kindness toward yourself, compassion toward yourself. That was super helpful for me as well, when in the moment though it feels like the last thing you want to do because you just want to rip yourself to shreds because you just hate yourself so much or whatever. But I had to learn those tools of like radical self-acceptance and radical self compassion and care, which is totally the response you should have. Like if you saw someone struggling with those types of things, you wouldn't go, oh, you're so stupid for having those thoughts. No, you'd be like, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I'm here for you, and here I am, always a voice here letting you know that you're cared for, that you are loved, that you are safe even with these thoughts going through your head, and that you are just fine the way you are. And I don't know, these are things that helped me, so just want to pass those on in case maybe you never heard of that before, because I was one of those people before I started seeing a psychologist and reading these books. I never knew that other people had those types of thoughts. I never knew that it was okay. And I never knew the tools to help, get out of them. And everyone will find different tools that help them, and that's wonderful. Like the things that help one person won't help everyone necessarily. I remember when I was chatting to an art therapist, and she said the thing that helped her through her anxiety was CBT. And I was like, yes, awesome, I'm going to do it and it's going to work. And I'm going to be fixed. I tried it, I hated it. I could not stand it. It made me so angry. And I was like, whoa, this is having the opposite effect. And so I thought I had failed. I'm like, look, I'm so stupid because I can't even do CBT. And it's like, no. It's just, I didn't fail. It wasn't that. It's just that it didn't work for me at that time. And that's okay. There were other things that worked for me. And that other thing for me was acceptance and commitment therapy. So I will always talk about acceptance and commitment therapy because that's the thing that helped me. But it might not be the thing that helps you. I love like what Kirk says about therapy, how he will use multiple approaches, and any approach that works, that helps, is great. And that's the way I think, whatever helps, do that. Doesn't matter if it works for me or not. If it works for you, great, do it. Go find what works for you. So I just shared a few things that work for me. And I hope that helps. Anyway, the final question is, what makes you happy these days? And that would be my cat, Keanu. He gives me so much joy, and he makes me laugh, and he gives me cuddles in the morning, and he's currently sleeping on my bed because it is cold, and he is curled up with his head under his tail. And he is adorable. I'm patting him right now and he's not budging. Creating, journaling, writing, that always makes me happy. Beauty and sparkles make me happy. I love rainbows and sparkly things and the colour blue, crystal, and just things that are pretty. I love, make me happy. The workshops, the creative journaling workshops, are a current thing that are making me really happy, and just seeing people go on a journey of creativity and self-discovery and being able to journey alongside these people, it's really fulfilling, really, really fulfilling. Happiest moment? All right, this is the last question, so one last story. I did beach mission for 12 years, which is where like a bunch of Christians, all denominations, all ages, all backgrounds from all over come together to run a holiday program, like bush dances, trivia nights. We also share we do drama and songs and games, craft, Bible stories and different things like that. So I was at one beach mission, and we always end the night, the team, with just some team time where we'd have an hour just to recharge, connect with each other, worship God together, and just have a time together for ourselves to bond and to recharge and rest and that kind of thing, and reflect on the day. So anyway, one of these nights we were on the beach and we had a time of just quiet reflection and resting, and then we had a song put on, it's called Alive. I think it's by Hillsong United. It's just a really upbeat, fun dance type of song, and it was amazing. We just came from this really quiet, really reflectful moment. The song came on, and then everyone just got up and jumped and danced, and someone ran out onto like this sandbar in the middle of the ocean, and we were just having our little dance party, rocking it out on this sandbar. And I would ordinarily, like I said, I don't like parties. I always feel self-conscious, and I'm a wallflower. So I would ordinarily be like, oh, I'm not dancing, I'm not singing. Like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna be awkward. But this night I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like jumping up and down. I was dancing, singing at the top of my lungs with everyone. And it was just this pure moment of what I think heaven will be like. I feel like heaven is a place where you're not self-conscious. There's just pure freedom to be yourself fully, because you know that everyone else is fully themselves too, and everyone is fully accepted, fully loved, fully safe. You are safe to be yourself. No one is feeling awkward. No one is feeling like they might be rejected or anything like that. And it's just that pure freedom where you don't hide. There's no shame whatsoever. Here you are, you're showing up. Here you are in the world, and you're doing it together with everyone else because they feel exactly the same way. And I think that was a taste of heaven. It was like a heavenly moment. And I look forward to that day. I always talk about this, like my hope as a Christian is, heaven on earth. When heaven, we are here to bring heaven to earth. We are here to have more moments like that, and one day only moments like that, where everyone is just free to be who they are, completely fully, no shame, no awkwardness, no self-consciousness, because we all know we are, secure in who we are and in who each other are. And it's just a picture of beauty and peace and harmony and all those wonderful things. And yeah, when no one hides, I guess because maybe my whole life, my story, I felt like I've needed to hide. I always felt like I needed to be silent and invisible. So this was just a moment of no hiding and a rare moment. But what I love is also the community aspect. Like, everyone else was in the same boat. Everyone else was like just going crazy, like jumping up and down, singing loud. We don't care if you can't sing. We don't care if you're out of tune. We don't care if you can't dance. Like, who cares? It's just pure joy, expressing joy, and that community aspect. That's heaven as well. That idea of we're all in this together, and yeah, I love that. So bring on that heaven on earth, more moments like that. So I hope you enjoyed this chatty video. My goodness, this was so long. And, we got into some deep stories there, touched on some of my favorite topics like faith and psychology. So yeah, writing and creativity. I love these topics. Sport, I love sport. I get so many life lessons from sport. One day I want to write a book about sport and faith and how they intersect and how they can teach us about how we can live lives. For example, okay, look, I'm just going on another tangent here, inspired by Kirk when he goes on his tangents. So I love one lesson from sport that I love is, when you make a mistake on the footy field, for example, everyone sees it. The whole stadium sees it. Everyone who's watching on the TV sees that mistake. Your teammates see it. Everyone else on the other team sees it. And you can't just in our lives, how many of us have made a mistake and our response is to go, oh, I'm never going to work again, or how can I show my face, and I'm going to beat myself up, and this is the worst thing in the world. Well, on the footy field, they don't do that. They will get back up, go after the ball, and just keep going. And I'm like, I love that. That's resilience. That's the way to respond. Like, yeah, feel the disappointment, feel all that pain of, man, I missed that goal, or I missed that tackle, or whatever. I kicked the ball to the person on the wrong team and everyone's head goes in their hands. Everyone's yelling at you. Whatever. You just keep on going. The next contest, you get that ball. You just keep on going. And I love that lesson. Like, can we apply that in our lives? How often, though, in our lives do we let it linger? Do we ruminate on it and cause us to freeze and hide away, or whatever, or maybe respond in anger or retaliate or whatever? I don't know. I just love that one lesson alone from sport, that that's a way to respond to mistakes. So good, so good. I've got so many more lessons like that. One day I want to put it in a book. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I could go on and on talking about things I love and that I'm passionate about, the way Kirk does. This is another reason why I love Psychology in Seattle, because I see a lot of myself in Kirk, in his sort of personality, how we're both sort of observant, like the deeper questions, and very thoughtful type, and we'll just talk and talk and talk. And for most of my life I was, like I said, very silent and hidden, and my family thinks it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. We all think it's hilarious that of the family members, I'm the one with the YouTube channel. It's just really weird, very, very weird that I'm the one with the YouTube channel, because they're like, I could never do it. I could never, put a video up in public. I could never do it. That's too scary. It's like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. But now that I'm here, I love being able to just talk about the things that I love. And I'm realizing over the years of doing YouTube that I can talk forever and ever and ever about the things that I love. And I'm glad I'm not alone, that Kirk also can talk about things forever and ever. And I would happily listen to Kirk talk about anything he wants to talk about, and often do when I listen to his channel, his podcast. I love like the different tangents that it just goes here, there, and everywhere. It's so fun. And I kind of want to do that on my channel. I would love to, when I share a flip through, just also tack on at the end, hey, I'm going to share this story, or I'm going to share this lesson that I learned, or I'm going to share this little insight or this thought that I had. So yeah, I will see about doing more of that. Anyway, enough rambling now from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to answer any of these questions yourselves, or if there was anything in here that you connected with, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, or either you can email me or contact me in any of the methods down below in the description box. Go check out Psychology in Seattle if you are interested in anything to do with psychology. And I will see you all in the next video. A big special thank you to all my beautiful patrons who supported Willowbound Journals and this YouTube channel in June. If you'd like to become a patron, where you get access to all my extra videos, including a journal making series each month, and depending on your tier, every printable from my Etsy shop or mail sent out to you in the post, you can become a patron by clicking the link below in the description box. By becoming a patron, you also get access to all of my members' videos. You can also just become a YouTube member if you want to support this channel by clicking the join button and selecting whichever tier suits you. You can become a member for as little as $1 per month, and every cent helps. So I am so thankful to all of you who support my YouTube channel and my creative dreams.